All right, let's welcome in episode 10. This week's guest, D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo, what's up, man? How are you doing?
I'm good. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this. You're in Miami right now.
Yes, sir.
It looks like the weather's great. Are you a little bit jealous of not being in the bubble?
Oh man, I missed it though. I'm not gonna lie. That was like it was brutal for guys. I would speak for myself, but it was brutal for us not being in it and just watching, feeling like a ultimate spectators, just watching the bubble and watching how guys were competing. It was cool though how the NBA set it up, but it is what it is. I don't think it's something that'll ever happen again. Hopefully not. But kudos to the guys that were in there making it happen.
I assume if we play next season, we're going to be bubbling at some point, is my assumption. They'll have all 30 teams. So? I mean, man. I think we could start potentially the season in some bubble fashion. I think that's a possibility. Cuban just said he's very hopeful of a vaccine, so maybe we push the season a little bit and we get fans in the stands. I gotta say, man, like you didn't get to experience this, but like playing without fans was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced on a basketball court.
I can only imagine. I don't think the NBA spent a lot of money on making that bubble happen. I don't think they want to do that again.
Yeah, that's true.
I can imagine, but I'm not gonna say I wanted to experience it, but I missed basketball, so watching it I got a little jealous. But just being in there, I couldn't imagine doing that.
Yeah, no, it was. There was the boredom was the hardest part, like in between games or whatever. That was probably the hardest part. What are you doing to sort of fill that competitive void while games and the playoffs are still going on?
Man, I've been all about golf, to be honest. I started late, but I'm just addicted to it right now. It's just that's been my outlet right now, just golfing and competing in little things around the house that I can compete in. So,
what's your high right now?
I don't even know what that means. I just started. I literally took one lesson, and that got me got me really just involved in it and wanting to.
But this is the thing. When we had Tatum on, with Jason on a couple weeks ago, he said he got started in May. And what's he shooting now, JJ? He's like amazing.
He's low 80s now. He's already almost. He's basically like a single-digit handicap in like 3 months.
You're gonna come on here in 2 months and you're gonna be like at 84.
I don't even know how to score yet. I'm just going out there praying for contact.
Tommy, I didn't tell you this. I played Sabonic earlier this week. So there's 3 courses right at sort of the head when the Hampton splits into 2. And it's Shinnecock, National, and Sabonic. And Sabonic's like the one in the middle, but there's like 8 holes on the water. It was the craziest shit. I got to say, like for me, I'm not a great golfer, but the ability to just be outside in nice weather and enjoy like a beautiful scene, that's half of it for me. That's half of it. You're gonna get if you have the itch already after only taking one lesson and playing for a month, like it's crazy, man.
I'm watching it. I'm YouTube and I'm watching previous last year's final round. Like I'm just so into it, man. I never thought I'd feel like this about golf.
Have you played any pickup basketball since the season ended?
Probably about three games, few players, few high school guys. Like it wasn't anything worth mentioning, but it was just to get out there, man. That is real for sure. Not being able to play, tough.
Who is standing out to you in the bubble right now? Obviously, a lot of your sort of friends are kind of going off. Like from watching the games as sort of an outside observer, what are you seeing? What is surprising to you? Who has sort of taken it up a notch?
Man, taking it up a notch, I would say a lot of guys. You guys are watching what I'm watching, but just how many young players are willing their teams to win. I think that's what's most impressive to me. I mean, you mentioned Tatum, but the Jamal Marys, the Donovans, the Books, like all those guys were just young guys. Everybody's watching them and everybody's, anticipating them to, look like a young player. And none of them, have made that happen. So I think that was the most impressive thing.
If you had to pick one of those young guys, not yourself and not Carl, but one of those young guys to build around for the next 10 years, who would that be?
You're saying to come play with me in college?
Just like if you were a GM, put your GM hat on for a second, and you had to pick one of the young guys in the league to build around. Who would it be?
Honestly, the way the league's going, I'm gonna go Bam Adebayo.
Wow,
that's
just
a great
because,
pick.
man, when you have somebody that big, that's so versatile on the defensive end and what he brings on the offensive end, it's just the way the league's going. You see him guarding Giannis throughout the season, and he just made that matchup, tough for him. So I'm going with Bam for sure.
That's an incredible pick. I like it. I do think one of the most undervalued skill sets from a fan's perspective, because I think teams really value this, as I found out with the 76ers, is guys who can guard multiple positions. Mm-hmm. Guys who can basically, I mean, Bam switches like 1 through 5. Is there ever big, and maybe it's Bam, but is there ever a big that switches on to you that you're like, oh, I gotta have my best shit right now?
And the reason I mention him is because that's who I remember most. We played in Miami before all this kind of took off, and we came up with the win. But the way they were in the gaps, switching 1 through 5, and the way he was making it tough on everybody on our team was just like, that's hard. No one wants to see that. It makes it that much tougher for any guard. He's a mismatch problem on the other end, but then on this end, you got to go at him, and that's not what you want to see.
So I wanted to go back to high school for a second. We're going to get to all the sort of pro stuff in a little bit, but you were at Montverde in Florida, and you and Ben Simmons. I don't know if all the listeners know this, but you guys played together. And you were sort of 2 of the best high school players in the country when you were doing this. What was that experience like, basically being 2 of the top 3 or 4 best players in the country on one team?
I mean, it was, for me, I can speak for myself just from the process of it. It was humbling for me because I came from Kentucky where there's not a lot of talent. So you kind of, You're doing things at a young age, and people are treating you like you're really doing something at a young age, and it is what it is. So when I go to Montverde, I see all these top guys. They're committed to college already. Their bodies and stuff are way more mature than mine's, and it just humbled me every day in practice. Coaches ripping me up, and I'm playing against these guys every day, and then I'm getting the game, and I'm not really playing, and I'm just like, man, there's no way this is for me. And then you got other guys that are younger coming in that their situation is not the same, because I came in, I was kind of the guy. I was already ranked. I had a few scholarships. I'm thinking I'm about to go here and just take off. But coach had other plans for me at that time. And then Ben came later, which was my junior year. In my sophomore year, we lost in the national championship. I remember that we lost by a buzzer beater. And then my junior year, we went back, and that's when we added Ben to our team, and we were just a complete different team. I've never seen a guy that year. It was a lot of guys that were really good going to the top schools or whatnot. I would say other than Jahlil Okafor in that high school class that I watched, Ben was a guy that I could see going to the league from high school and still doing what he's doing to this day. It would have been an earlier process for him. He would have had to figure it out a little earlier, but he was already dominating the game the way he does today. So it was exciting to be around that.
Did he shoot jump shots in high school? Did he ever take a shot outside the paint? Yeah, he did, right?
He did.
I remember him taking shots at LSU.
Yeah, I mean, he was less cautious about it. Once you get a little older, it's a little more magnified. But he wasn't really, too worried. He would shoot if he was open. Never thought about it. So that was cool.
Why do you think that he's so hesitant to do something that I think he's very capable of doing? Do you think that that's what it is? Do you think it's the magnification? Do you think he's worried about if he hits a 2 for 18 stretch that it's going to it's almost like if I don't ever shoot, then no one can ever say I'm like a bad shooter. It's unproven because I haven't shot.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I think. I mean, as a shooter guy that, I'm not saying what a slump feels like, but when you're missing and can't throw the ball in the hole, it's like, and then everybody's talking about it, and then you look on social and you're seeing it, and it's just like, it kills your confidence, I would say, and that's what pushes the league, confidence. So,
Tommy, this is a question because we always talk about Philly and obviously I had a great experience there, but I wonder if Ben is playing in, let's say, Minnesota. He's playing in Minnesota. Is him not shooting that big of an issue because of the way the fans and the media pay attention to the team with the Sixers?
Well, I want to, yeah. You and D'Angelo, talk about the Lakers experience a little bit, because you were thrown into this in a bigger fire than even in Philly. You know, when you were there, you've seen what it's like.
I agree with that too, though, Jay. I think Philly fans are completely different than other organization fans, so it's just super magnified. But in LA, it was similar. I mean, I can't really relate to something that I was going through on the court that I felt from the fans, but I just know how other organizations can be compared to other ones, that things are way more magnified than others.
Like, I feel like when I was in Philly, this is an example of sort of the mental sort of fuckery that happens there a little bit, is, there was like so much attention paid to my defense, or lack thereof at times, in the same way that there's the attention that's paid to Ben shooting, where, look, there's nothing that changed from this year to last year, me going to New Orleans,
sure,
but like, I didn't fucking have to deal with that on a daily basis from either the media or social media. I just didn't have to deal with that at the same level. Do you remember, you probably don't remember this, but in game 1, when we played you guys last year in the playoffs, I fouled out. I think you actually, and I got booed off the court.
Yeah, man. And now I'm watching the games this year, and I'm talking to my coaches, and I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I'm not going to say names, but I don't want to be the guy that they keep bringing in that ball screen at the end of the game. Yeah. But I do remember, man, that was a hell of an experience for me, for sure.
What was that like? Because that was your first sort of taste of the playoffs last year, and we recently had our guy Duncan, our correspondent, and he talked a little bit about his first experience as a in playoff games, because it is totally different. What is the sort of the ramp up? What is the difference between regular season and playoffs that you experienced?
I mean, just off the top, the mental preparation's completely, it's the same, but it's a little more detail, pre-game shoot arounds, that rest before, just your routine, just a little more detailed, I would say. But for me, the experience, just being prepared going into the playoffs, was something I feared. Like, I feared I would be on a team to go to the playoffs that I wouldn't be prepared to kind of, at least give ourselves a chance, and I think with Kenny and that coaching staff over there, they did a hell of a job of just preparing us, and then some of the vets that were there too, the Jared Dudleys, Damari Carroll, Ed Davis, those guys really prepared our younger guys on that team for the playoffs.
When the season ended last year, Brooklyn had sort of developed you. You were a number 2 pick. You had a good rookie season with the Lakers, but you were an all-star last year in Brooklyn, and now you're going into free agency. Were you expecting them to have more interest than they did, or did you kind of know that they were making that play for Katie and Kyrie?
I mean, New York is New York is small, man. I knew where you lived before I even moved there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the word of New York. So I kind of heard the murmurs of, those guys coming there, and, what the plan was for Brooklyn. And I knew I probably wouldn't be part of it if they were going to get those guys. So I took that, I just kind of took it in before it happened. So I was prepared, to kind of move on from the situation. And I'm just thankful that, I got another situation somewhere else, and I got to learn from it versus going somewhere and almost wasting a year. We didn't win games, and we didn't have all the guys that you would expect in Golden State, but just being able to pick, Draymond Green's brain, on and off the court, on the plane, Steph was around, Steve Kerr was his office was an open door. So it was just a all around cool experience.
The question I have for both you guys, and you've experienced this in different ways, but I feel like the fans would be sort of interested in this, is you guys learn at a very young age, that the NBA is a business. And so loyalty might mean something different in the NBA than it does, in life or even in other work environments. And so, like, for both of you specifically, like, when was sort of the first time you basically realized, like, it's not really what I personally might want 100% as much as, like, this is a business and I need to figure out what is best for me business wise, and also understand what might be best for the team business wise.
Well, for me, I probably didn't fully understand it until I got traded, and that was in my 7th year. And I had watched teammates get traded, but we had, like a group together for a number of years in Orlando. And, when it became personal, like when I personally understood that was when I got traded, because, I had said to our GM at the time, I'd told him, I would love to be part of this rebuild. I would love to stay here. You're in one place for 7 years. I was in one place for 7 years, and I felt a certain sense of loyalty to that place. Truthfully, probably getting traded was the best thing that ever happened in my career, because I got to sign with the Clippers the next summer, and then the back end of my career has been better than the front end. But it wasn't really till it happens to you that you can completely understand it. That's just my opinion.
Man, I remember being in practice my first year, and I'm talking to Lou Will. And Lou Will's obviously been traded multiple times. And I remember he said to me, man, this when we had Byron Scott as a coach, and he was like, we're running in practice. We're doing all this crazy stuff that Byron had us going through. And I'm just frustrated. He looks over at me. He's like, hey, youngin, I've been on 8 teams in 9 years. I've had 7 coaches in 9 years. He said, and none of them acted like this as far as putting us through what they were putting us through on conditioning and just the maintenance process. And he's like, this ain't normal. Just know that. This ain't normal. And I didn't know what he meant. Then I ended up getting traded. And I was like, okay, all right, I get traded. It's cool. It is what it is. Then a year later, I get traded again. And then you see what the process was for me this summer. I got traded again. It was, and I say that to say, like, Lou said it to me, but I didn't understand it until I was going through it. And I looked up and I was traded 3 times. And I was just like, man, this is what it is. And I can't do anything about it. I can't even control it. So why, leave my emotions just hanging on it, So once it kind of happens, I just move on and try to, prepare myself the best way I can for the situation I was in.
Did you take any of those trades personal? Did any of them put a chip on your shoulder?
Hell yeah. Shit. Only LA because Magic kicked me in my ass on the way out. And I didn't understand that. I was, kind of young and naive to why and like what was the point. But I mean, it is what it is, and that's another thing I just couldn't control. But I understood the business side of the league, man. Once you have that title on you, there's no getting it off. You just kind of gotta create a new headline for them to forget what that headline was in the past. And it was what it was. That was the only one I could say. But Brooklyn, I had a blast. I never played basketball at that level before, and that would just open my eyes to a whole new level of the game. So that I didn't take that personal at all. And Golden State, they were open. They were honest with me from day one. So it was what it was. So
remind me again what Magic said on the way out. What was the quote?
He was just like, man, we need leaders. We need leaders. We need a guy that guys want to play for and want to, follow. And I took that personal. I didn't know what being a leader meant. I didn't know what it looked like. I had no idea what that was. What I've seen. And all I seen from that point on was Kobe's farewell tour, So I didn't know what it was. And going to Brooklyn, I honestly, I just had better guidance, on – because if you look back on, I wasn't the guy in Brooklyn. Like I wasn't the guy until I had to be. Spencer was definitely one of those guys that could carry a team. Karras was the guy that was definitely carrying the team. And I was just kind of finding myself in that process. But Kenny and the guys on that coaching staff were, I shot threes, but I didn't shoot as many threes as I did as I do now. And they were pushing me to shoot more threes and more jump shots. A lot of the league was going away from mid range, and that's kind of my bread and butter. So they were allowing me and giving me the confidence to do those things. And then off the court, like I said, with Damari, Jared Dudley, and Ed, man, they were just that little bug in my ear, just giving me guidance on how to carry myself and how to lead by example as well.
You were, I'm guessing, like 20 when the Lakers traded you?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so you couldn't legally drink wine, but you're supposed to be a leader of a franchise, which is just crazy to me. I mean, that's one of the craziest quotes ever. And by the way, to your point, you didn't get a normal season that year with normal vets because the entire year was about Kobe's farewell tour. How talk a little bit about that, because as a rookie, you're playing with one of the greatest players and competitors of all time, and that he's not going to be around, and he knows he's not going to be around the following season. So how weird was that? Looking back, how weird was that season compared to the rest of your years in the NBA?
Man, I say it like this. When you're a rookie, you come into the league and you see LeBron James, you see Kobe Bryant, you see all these guys, you're just like, you're a fan. So you're trying not to come off as a fan, like you want them to respect you as a player, but at the end of the day, you're a teenager and you're a fan. So with me, with Kobe, man, he was never in practice. Like, he was never in practice. I would only see him, maybe game days. And it was just like it was a thing where it was like he was kind of like Batman. You never knew when he was going to show up, And I haven't been around any other players since then that kind of had that, that people knew what he was saying without him even using words. He just kind of nodded or yay or nay anything with just his facial expressions. And I was just like, man, that's crazy. So coming into the league, I didn't want to ask him the wrong questions. I didn't want to say nothing stupid. I was just trying to be as professional as I could. And then all of a sudden, like, we were playing together, and I just started to become this kid where I was like, I could ask him anything, and he was open about it, and I could talk to him about things I've seen, and he was giving me full detailed descriptions on it. So it made me feel like, okay. So just throughout that year, man, I just got to be a sponge on everything I saw and everything he taught me, and it was a hell of an experience, but it was sad just that it had to go like that, because we had a relationship that was, I'm sure other players had that relationship as well that you wanted to build on. And I had a mentality throughout my rookie season, like, what would Kobe do? Like, what would he do in this situation? Literally with anything. If it was off the court, if it was in an interview, I literally thought, what would Kobe do? That was my process.
Were there basketball specific ticks or anything that you picked up from him just from watching him in the short time you had with him?
Man, I tell you, I watched every little thing this guy did. He wasn't around as much. We sat next to each other on the plane. I watched him. Like, when we were on the bench, I just found myself watching this dude, and I picked up on everything. I picked up on, his communication when on the floor. We seen him on his way out, but I picked up on that. I picked up on, just how he carried himself off the floor. That was one of the most important things. When I say he didn't speak, like, I tell people this story, he didn't speak. Like, he would go, I know, JJ, you've heard that sound.
Oh, all the time.
He'd make that sound, and you better guess right what that meant at that time. And me and Julius Randle and Jordan Clark, we were guys that would kind of, add that into our repertoire. We're talking to each other in Kobe slang. So it was just little things like that we really picked up on.
Didn't at some point during the season, if I remember correctly, didn't he randomly show up to practice one day and just like talk? Like, I guess that day he was talking, because apparently he came in and he starts talking shit.
Man, we were in practice, and I don't know how many practices we've had that year, but I probably practice training camp, he was there. And then after training camp was like, you see him at preseason games. And then after that, there was like, you never knew when you would see him again. Like when I tell you Batman, he was Batman. You never knew.
I don't know why I just thought of this. So my dad this morning, we have a family group text, and he sends me one of those, you've seen them, D'Angelo, like the Instagram edits of you in a different jersey.
Yeah.
So he sends me this picture, and it's me in a yellow Lakers jersey wearing number 37. And I don't know why they put me in 37. And I'm like, I just got a chuckle. I wrote back like, LL, where'd you find that? And so he sends me a link to the article, and it was on a site called Fade Away World. And I'm like, Dad, I know you're not an NBA insider, but you should know, like, that's not exactly a legit source of NBA information.
That's funny you say that, man. I think everybody's parents in the league probably has Google alerts on their child, because anything that's tweeted or posted on their kid, they're reading into it and questioning you about it. So it is.
My dad definitely has, and I love him. I love that he has this, but he's definitely got Google alerts on me. I think my brother does too. My dad, back before there was social media and before there was, Google alerts, he would be on those Instagram or the internet message boards. And so my freshman year, I think it was my freshman year at Duke, season was over. Me and some buddies went to go to the UNC baseball game because they were playing Clemson. My best friend from high school was pitching for Clemson that night. And we brought some beers with us. We didn't know you couldn't have alcohol, granted I was 18, but we brought some beers with us. We were sitting at a picnic table, on the right field line, and somebody came over and was like, hey, you can't have alcohol here. And I was like, oh, cool. Threw it away, went and sat in the bleachers, whatever. I wake up the next day, and my dad calls me, and he's like, yo, did you get arrested last night? And I was like, what? I was like, no. And he's like, no, it's on this internet message board, this UNC Duke internet message board, that you got arrested at the baseball game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I remember, funny story, just piggybacking on that. My mom's on Instagram, and she's replying to my fan pages, and she thinks they're me. And she's like, why'd you post this right here? I'm like, Mom, I don't even have that picture. You know what I'm saying? So
pages. You got to tell the parents, man, if there's not a blue check next to it, don't pay attention. Do not pay attention. It seems like you are, I can tell in your voice that you're really excited about the opportunity in Minnesota. You feel like you guys are building something good there. You and Kat really didn't get a chance to play a ton together this year, due to, obviously, because you got traded there later, and then he was hurt for a portion of the season. But how excited are you to build around the two of you guys and sort of how you guys complement each other on the court?
Man, Kat's a hell of a basketball player, just all around. In his game, offensively, how gifted he is. I've never played with a big one. Jared Allen was probably the best big I've ever played with. I played with Joel Embiid in high school too. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but before Joel was who he was, Jared Allen was the best big I've ever played with, just as far as a big that did what he did and he was good at it. If it was him shooting, stretching the floor, if it was him rolling, whatever it was, he was good at it. So to have a player like Kat, and like you said, we didn't get to play with each other. We don't really know how to mesh that together and make it as one. But I just know having a player like him next alongside myself, it's just going to be, a beautiful thing to see, on the offensive end. And then around our team, I think when you have players like him and myself, it's so easy to complement that, put players around us that can complement me and him as just as a team that can, be a team that's capable in the league to make some noise. And with Gerst and Ryan, those guys, I trust them to put us in the best positions to do that. You can easily be in an organization where their plan isn't for you to win, or their plan isn't to elevate and move forward. So to go to a team that they're willing to do that and they're ready to, to continue to elevate and bring better talent and prepare us going into any given night. That's all you can ask for in this league. And I have a max contract on the line now, so there's a little stability. So it's just a good feeling all around.
We've talked about Cat a bunch on the show. He's just an insane talent. I mean, he can do everything. He can do everything. He sort of has limitless skill set and limitless potential. I mean, he's still sort of scratching the surface. Are there things? Obviously, you haven't played with him much, but you know him and you've been around him for a long time. Are there things about his game that you feel like are coming that people might be surprised by?
I've only been around him. I haven't really played with him. So as far as his demeanor and, the way he carries himself, I think I'm more excited about, him playing with a chip on his shoulder now, like he has an edge now, with the loss that he had. I think his approach is just going to be completely different. He's already gifted, talented player. But when you add that just killer, like not just I'm going in every night to get my stats. I'm going in every night to, of course, win, the cliche answer. But now I'm going in every night to kill and leave no scraps behind. I think that's the mentality and that he's going to come with. And I'm already coming with that, So just to put that together, I know it's just going to be something nice to see.
You guys are also adding a draft pick, which will be an interesting.
Exactly.
The lottery is so weird this year because of everything going on. I feel like it got shifted a little bit, but that's a big deal. It's a big deal for Minnesota.
For sure. We got a draft pick, like you said. I keep rephrasing it, but I just trust those guys, in the front office to make it happen. Gersh is a scientist at what he does, and then there's a lot of hidden pieces behind there in that organization that pushes it as well.
I got a quick Gersh story. So last year when I was a free agent, obviously I made my decision pretty much right away. I think I was maybe the first Woj bomb of going to, the Pelicans or whatever. And I knew that Minnesota had some interest. And so never really had a conversation because it happened so quick with the Pelicans. Gersh reached out to Stephen Human, my agent, and he was like, we had all this stuff prepped for JJ. Can we still send it? And I'm like, yeah, have him send it, but like, I don't know what it's going to do, right? So I get a box at my Brooklyn apartment. So in the box is a pair of Adidas shoes, and they had custom made them with the numbers 342 on it. They knew that I made 342 shots every Sunday in the offseason. There was two Twins jerseys, number 4, with kid size, with my sons Knox and Kai on the back. They sent me a jersey. They sent my wife like 2 different gifts. Like, I was blown away. In 5 times of being a free agent, I had never received anything that thoughtful. It was wild.
With that situation, that just lets you know how the organizations ran, though. With Gersh being the quarterback of it, man, they just go all out with whatever they do. I have a similar story to that when I was going through the free agent process. When we were in the helicopter hangar, they had the whole 9 yards laid out for me. The presentation was unreal. Like I said, they had some customized gear there too. So just like I said, it's just what they do, man. It's cool to be a part of it.
All right, let's get to speed round. 5-6 questions. Tommy and I will alternate, and then we'll do the draft. All right. My first question is: would you be excited to play with LaMelo Ball?
Excited? I wouldn't mind it, honestly, if that's what it was and that's what they seen in the future. Man, I've been in so many situations, man. I just attack it like any other, to be honest.
It seems like it would be a very similar situation to your last year in Brooklyn with Karras and Spence and you, where you've got multiple ball handlers, multiple guys attacking off the dribble. It would be interesting to see what you guys do with that pick.
Yeah.
What was your first welcome to the NBA moment on the court? Was there somebody you played against very early on where you were kind of like, either I can't believe I'm here, or they locked you up, or they scored on you or something, you were like, okay, yeah, this is different?
Man, I love telling this story. I'm not gonna lie. Man, we were in Portland. We're playing Dame. I think Dame had the start of the game. I'm guarding him. They're like, "You're gonna guard Dame. Accept the challenge." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Let's do it." So we're out there, and I'm just like in awe, like it's Damian Lillard. Wow. So I'm still in awe through maybe the whole first quarter. I'm in awe. This dude pulls up, deep ball, 3, come down, foul on me, and 1. Look up, deep ball, 3, another one. Just back. It felt like it was just all out, and I was on this island by myself. Like no one was there to help. Kobe, they call timeout. Kobe looks at me. He's like, "What you want the motherfucker to have 50?" And I'm like, I don't even know what I was just like, one of those. Kobe goes out and guards him. This is when I saw, first of all, that was my welcome to NBA moment. Just Dame fucking having, I don't know what he had. But then seeing Kobe guard him and just beat him up, basically. Like, they weren't letting Kobe foul out of that game, one. And he just beat him up. He probably had 50 on me, and in the game was probably 50. Just Kobe he shut it down. But I watched the refs kind of let Kobe beat the shit out of him to do it. And I was just like, man, that's just reputation, 1. And then 2, like, damn, refs really control the game. I hope I'm fine from saying that, but they control the game, So it was just that was just cool to see that. That was my first year for sure.
I know that island all too well. That's the island I was on. Game 1 last year against you guys. I was like, hey, I can't guard Karras one-on-one. Y'all going to have to give me at least a fucking nail defender. Give me somebody at the nail. Give me something.
Hey, JJ, you remember what I said, though? I was like, I think we ran the same play maybe like 2 or 3 times. You ended up fouling out, and I was like, run that shit again. He can't play in this game or something like that. And then I just remember you walking to the bench and how you felt. And then I'm watching the playoffs this year, how they keep bringing Michael Porter into a ball screen. I just feel bad for him. I'm just like, I coach the clip. I'm just like, yo, whatever I got to do to not be this guy. We got to figure out some type of plans. If it's we're gonna hit whenever I'm on the island.
Hey, because you just brought this up, and I had forgotten that you did this. So when I fouled out, you waved me off the fucking court. So for the rest of that series, I had this moment in my mind. I'm like, when we win these next 4 games, I'm going to wave this motherfucker off the court. I wanted to do it so bad. I was so heated when you did that. Oh my God. But again, I got my ass kicked that day. So I took it like a champ. I'm walking off the court, going back to the bench.
I didn't think you saw it or you would remember that, man. That's crazy.
You're real dick, man. You're real dick. All right, you can only go like on vacation, like for a weekend, whatever. You can only go to one place for the rest of your life. You're going to Miami or LA? Like that's the choice, Miami or LA. What are you picking?
I'm going to LA, to be honest. I love Miami. I love it. But I'm an outside guy, and I've been living in Miami for these last few months, and mosquitoes just take over this place. So when I'm in LA, I was just in LA recently, and I'm like, there's no mosquitoes. I forgot they don't even do that. So that was my only right there. I'll probably do it where.
All right. You went to Ohio State. If Penn State is playing Michigan in a football game, who are you cheering for? You have to cheer for one of them.
Penn State, easily.
So Penn State over Michigan. Okay.
Yeah, no question.
Okay, great.
One, I think Penn State's back. I think their team's going to – I think they have a better football program. And then, 2, I just don't like Michigan.
All right, last question before the draft. So I know you're getting into wine. Right now, what is your favorite bottle of wine?
Clos Duval. It's a Cabernet. Tried it in Napa. Been in love with it ever since. Clos Duval.
Do you ever drink any red Burgundies? Any French Pinots? Yeah.
Yep. I can't say I know the names, but I'm a fan of Burgundy.
They're hard to pronounce. I was at a dinner last night. It was this insane wine dinner. We were at Steve L's house in East Hampton. He's the guy who founded Chipotle. And I have to say, like, all of the Googling how to pronounce X, it's paying off. Everybody was impressed that I could pronounce some of the vineyards and some of the producers. But I'll get on. I'll be like, I don't know how to pronounce this, and I'll go on and be like, how to pronounce, Domaine du Jacques or whatever it is, and it's like whatever. All right, let's get to the draft. Tommy, why don't you explain what this draft is and sort of the format?
We're picking best all-time NBA jerseys. Like jersey design.
Oh, designs. Okay.
Designs,
okay.
yeah, designs. So you're up. So your favorite all-time jersey.
I'm going Orlando Magic. The stripes with the throwback Shaquille, Tracy McGrady.
Like 94, 95. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a
hell of a first
classic.
pick. That's a hell of a first pick.
That's a great first pick.
That's the one for me.
All right, I'm going just because I want to have this and I know it's going to get taken off the board. I'm going 86 Bulls. The original Jordan Bulls, red or black, either of those. But that year, the 86 to 90 Bulls.
With like the cursive script, the Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right, my first two. I'm going to go the Charlotte Hornets. I call it the starter pack jersey because it just reminds me of like the starter jackets from the early 90s. So I think it was like 89 to 96 they wore these jerseys. Teal with the white pinstripe. Number 2 pick for me, I'm going to go KG era Timberwolves black with the green trim, with the green tree trim. I love those. That was 96 to 08. I love those.
I'm going Suns Barkley, the Black Suns 90s.
It's good. It's good.
I'm going to go Supersonics Ray Allen. And then I'd have to go, is it the Vancouver, Memphis?
Oh, yeah.
Those are tight.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep.
The teal one, right? The Grizzlies teal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, I'm doing third. I'm doing original, like 95 to 98 Raptors.
Ugh.
Like the ones with the dinosaurs on them.
The original Dino. Yeah.
The original Dino.
It's a great pick, Tommy. Tommy, I'm going to be honest with you. The last 2 drafts you have not completely botched. You were on a streak of just fucking botching drafts.
What happens on this show, D'Angelo, is JJ's a horrible drafter, but he's way more popular than I am, so he turns all of these fans on him, even though his picks are objectively terrible. Man. They just bully me online. I'm about to quit the internet because of it. My picks make sense. All right, you're up. You got 2.
All right, I got 2. I'm going to go back-to-back Miami Heat picks. So I'm going to go Miami Vice.
Fuck.
And then I'm going to go the Miami Heat black ones from like 95 to 99. This is when like Zoe, Glenn Rice were there.
Orange and red, maybe?
There was the Vice ones. Yeah, the Vice ones are like the crazy ones now. With like the pink.
Sky blue.
Yes, exactly.
All right, I'm up. I'm going Trailblazers.
Oh, that's
1974 to 77. The red one, the red with the black stripe going down the side.
That's crazy.
Blazers 70s. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, you get your last 2 here, D.
Tough. I'm gonna go throwback Lakers for sure. And then you said Charles Barkley Phoenix. I'm gonna go Phoenix, Steve Nash Phoenix with the
with like the half sleeve,
Yeah, bar. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I like those a lot. All right, I'm gonna close it. My only current one. I'm not sure whether you got to play in these or not, but the Warriors, the town jerseys.
Yeah,
I don't know what the years was. Those are sick. Those are like the jerseys are sick. The hoodies are sick. I have no connection to the Bay or anything like that. I wish I did because I could wear that all the time.
All those jerseys they had, the new jersey they had this year were all crazy. The red, blue, and white ones and yellow, those were crazy.
Did you like the arena? The one in San Fran? I haven't been to it. The San Fran one?
You can't not like it. It's like it's none other. It's
super
crazy.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Beats are just different.
I'm going to close this out. I can't believe this made it to the 15th pick. I'm going to go mid-90s Bulls black pinstripes. Iconic jersey. Iconic jersey. And actually looking at the list now, Tommy, you had like objectively speaking, you only had like 2, arguably 3 good picks.
Here we go.
The rest were.
Wait, tell. This is why he's mad. Tell D what just happened. We taped an episode with Mark Cuban earlier.
Okay, so like,
tell him what happened in this episode.
Literally an hour ago, we're on with Mark. Okay. And we always talk. Tommy and I talk before every episode. You know, we just talk about what we want to talk about. We make sure we're clear on the draft. So this morning he says to me, "All right, we're going to draft our top 5 favorite apps. Like, if you could only have 5 apps on your phone, what would those 5 apps be?" Right? So we get on with Mark, and he says we're drafting the 5 apps you would take to a deserted island. So it sort of changed because, like, functionally speaking, none of my apps helped me on a desert island. You know what I mean? So I kind of botched that one. I lost
all his
that
apps were one of the apps was picking out his favorite wines. The other one was Street Easy, Caviar, the delivery service. It was all things that did not help him at all on the island.
It's just
For sure.
yeah. All right, D'Angelo, man, I appreciate the time. Thank you, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. Keep showing us how to do it, man. These younger guys in the league, man. We watching you, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.